Good morning, Wham Fam, and welcome to the Season 1 finale of Wine About Movies, Episode 20, and my co-host across the country.
Hey guys, Chell, your favorite wine drinker, wine writer, and creator of ChellLovesWine.com.
Yeah, she's a wine fan, I'm a film fan. That's what we do while here on Wine About Movies. We take one of Hollywood's biggest releases and we pair it with a very fine wine. Today we are busting out one of the all-time classics, 2001, A Space Odyssey. This weekend celebrating its 50th anniversary, screenings in select cities all across the country in 70mm. And today we have a very special guest on the show, a huge fan of the film. Ladies and gentlemen, meet Steven Ellis, a Los Angeles-based writer and director, works at Lionsgate Marketing. And Steve, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. This is going to be fun. Brendan's just told me so much about the show and what you guys do with the wine and yapping about the movies, so this sounds like something right up my alley.
Perfect. Do you like wine too, Steve?
Yes, I do.
Oh, good. We'll get along just great then.
Great.
Well, good. And today we have a very special bottle. Well, I have a special bottle in particular, but Shell, today we're drinking a Aglianico. What is this thing?
Aglianico.
Aglianico. Sounds like it's Italian.
Oh, that's because it is. Good guess. Good guess.
This one in particular is the Rubrato Agliano Feudi di San Gregorio. And this bottle in particular, you can see on the Instagram there, I got a bottle up. The wine store in the background is the only place in the entire country you can get this type of bottle in particular. It's aged 3 years, Chell. Is it ready?
Do you know why that store only has that bottle? Like why the wine store was the only one to get this special label?
Yeah, it was something. I think the winery doesn't do a lot of exports to the U.S. I'm not entirely sure why, but they have a limited, maybe an exclusive partnership with the wine store in L.A. I think it's from a quainter winery, Feudi di San Gregorio.
Was this like a family-owned, like really fancy wine store when you walked in that you could tell that they would have exclusive deals with private wineries?
It wasn't Bevmo. I mean, it was a little curated. It was much larger than Bevmo. This was like not the Mall of America for wines, but they had it broken down by the different countries and the different varietals.
So it was like the world market.
It was like the world market opposed to the Walmart. Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
Very nice. Well, it sounds like a fancy place. This wine is an Italian wine, and you said it's aged 3 years? When you're drinking them younger like that, they're going to have like really aggressive flavors and aggressive tannins and acidity. So it's going to be like one of those like big, bold wines that you really like, with lots of like savory flavors like peppers and black fruits and cured meats and stuff like that. Are you getting any of those?
Yeah, the big and the bold, yes. It's not that fruity, though, which is nice. A lot of the wines we've been having lately have been sort of heavy on the fruit. This is it's a bit more acidic, and it just feels like a much more commanding glass.
Yeah, so that's why this grape is a really good aging grape, because over time, that will break down and create a smoother wine. So wines that age really well have high acidity and high tannins. So if you have a wine like that, like the Aglianico does, if you give it 10 to 20 years in a properly controlled setting for it to age, you're going to have a really beautiful wine when everything starts to break down and it's all going to come together and it's really going to be amazing.
Oh, well then I wish it was possible just to cork the bottle and save it for another 10 or 20, but that's probably not an option.
Literally, we should go pick up more though.
We should.
And then just hold on to it. And then in 2028... when 2001 A Space Odyssey turns 60, we'll open it up.
Well, there was a 2010 too. But before we get into the crazy sequels, Steve is a big fan of the original, though. Now, let's break. I mean, so the film has aged. Has the film aged or aged not? For those that haven't seen it at home, hopefully you're watching it in a great big metropolitan area where you can catch a screening this weekend. If not, rent it on Google for $3-4. In my opinion, it's totally worth your viewing time. But the first time I watched it, wasn't a fan. It was a bit. It's not a traditional movie. Chell, what was your take on this cinematic classic?
It was, number one, really long. Number two, I get that it's like an art piece. It's a movie, but it's an art piece that I just don't understand. Like, some people just don't understand certain types of art. This is one I just don't understand at all.
Oh, absolutely. I feel like the first time I saw it was a very difficult experience. I think most Stanley Kubricks are very difficult the first time you see them.
Difficult was like an understatement. I really struggled to get through any of this. And like the first 30 minutes was just monkeys. Like,
I have to tell you, you just talk about these things and I'm just like, oh my God, how beautiful was that? It's like this weekend is just going to be awesome. They're coming out in 70 millimeter. Do you know what they're doing for that? It's not like digitally remastered.
No.
Christopher Nolan took the actual negatives.
Can you guys explain what 70 millimeter is? Like, how is it different from traditional film? Like, if they're saying, oh, go see this film in 70 millimeter, like, what does that even mean?
Film is usually on 35 millimeter. 70 millimeter is literally like twice the size.
Like on the film strip, you got so many rolls of film, and the film frames play through the projector at 24 frames a second. So you're not seeing really a moving image. You're seeing a series of images going by very fast that give the illusion of movement, and the frame size on with which the image has been burned by the light exposure of the emulsion is usually at 35 millimeters across diagonally, the hypotenuse. In this case, it's 70 millimeter, which means it's bigger.
It's just so much bigger. It's kind of like what is IMAX?
IMAX is 65.
IMAX is 65. So this is bigger than IMAX. So Christopher Nolan took the actual negatives from Stanley Kubrick's shoot to remake this, to reprint it in 70 millimeter.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So unlike when like Star Wars came out a second time, it was like digitally remastered with all the new effects and everything. No, this is exactly what you saw before, but better. Well, not you, because you weren't alive.
Because I wasn't alive. Not a lot of us were alive. I'm guessing a lot of the listeners probably weren't alive.
Yeah, it's 50th anniversary. So.
I definitely wasn't alive. My parents were only like 12. That movie came out a long time ago when I put it in that perspective. It's a long time.
1968, and it's had quite it's been quite an influential piece in cinema.
You started this off asking, has it aged?
Yes.
Has it aged? Like, has it aged?
Well, has it aged well?
Yeah, has it aged like a good wine or a bad wine?
Well, I think it's one of the. I think this is one of those movies where, you know, when people 1,000 years from now look back on art and cinema and things like that, I think Jurassic Park is probably going to be considered the greatest just movie of all time, because they brought dinosaurs back from the dead. But if you're an alien out there on some crazy other planet and you're like some weird like quadrupedal thing with feathers coming out of your nose, and you're just some crazy species and you want to see what life on Earth's like, it's all about, this is probably the piece that encapsulates that better than anything else.
How does it do that if none of it takes place on Earth?
It does. The beginning takes place on Earth.
The beginning, when it wasn't humans, when it was primitive species like sapiens. That's who it was. It wasn't humans. Those were before Neanderthals. That was like the beginning of the Neanderthals. And then it jumps to space. So what part of this represents Earth?
And yes, the bone jumped to space. Chell, remember that shot where the bone gets thrown?
It's the longest cut in history.
I do, but isn't even the scene with the monkeys, isn't that on the moon too? It's not even...
No, that's like prehistoric times. That's in the desert.
Okay.
Probably like Joshua Tree or something.
Honestly, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I fast forwarded through that after I watched 4.5 minutes of monkeys.
Oh my God.
I fast forwarded to the space scene, which then was another 10 minutes of no speaking with some classical music behind it. And then we finally had speaking like 35 plus minutes into the movie.
Why does the movie, why do you need words?
I don't know. I'm just a very simple person. And this movie was very...
But simplest is show don't tell.
I mean, let's put it, I'm simple in not the like minimalist form. I'm simple in like the...
Shell loves a good traditional narrative.
I do. Like, you want to know my favorite movies? My favorite movies are like 10 Things I Hate About You, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. And...
Aren't they the same?
They're different. They're completely different movies. And I like Mean Girls, and...
Mean Girls is great. Fantastic. Brilliant script. I love Mean Girls. Glad that both guys can agree on how good Mean Girls is.
I think it's a universally like accepted movie as being one of...
Oh my God. My mom just saw Mean Girls. It was like... she like got tickets to the Broadway show and was like, Steven, have you heard of this? And I was like, Mom, are you kidding me?
It's been around forever, Mom. And the musical is now nominated for a bunch of Tonys.
I didn't even know it was a musical.
Yeah, it's a musical. It's supposed to be fantastic.
Amazing.
It's gotten like the most Tony noms this year.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Mean Girls, the musical.
But anyway, I just asked my mom. I was like, how fetch is that? And she just didn't get it.
Stop trying to make fetch happen. Okay?
Fetch happened.
Yes, but those are the type of movies I like. So this was much different. And I do like space movies. So Brendan's like, you're not going to like this movie. And I was like, I'm going to give it an honest effort because I do like space movies. Like I thought Interstellar was great. I do like Armageddon. Like I like space.
What did you really like about Interstellar?
How it made me think. I like movies that make me think, and I guess this movie also does make you think too.
So I want to talk about this movie a little bit
Okay.
because Interstellar makes you think, and I feel like because it's contemporary, it's like more approachable. And I'd like to think that if we were at this age in like the 50s, we might find it just as thought-provoking.
I could see that. I could agree with that.
So like one of the things that I just love about the movie is every single shot is pretty much a still image. Like most of the shots in the film, there's no movement happening in the actual screen. It's really just like, oh, here's a spaceship slowly floating, or like here's like a person just like watching a screen, and it's kind of just like a giant montage of still images, and that just comes together to tell this beautiful story, which is what I was talking about with the simplicity. It really is a picture book, and that's something that's so cool about it. What it really is about is to make you think, just like Interstellar does, is what is humanity? What are we? We're relying upon tools. This is our like chronicling humanity's use of tools, the first tool to the last tool. And it skips every tool in between, which we could spend like a whole hour talking about.
It's like sporks. The spoon meets fork. It's a great tool. Widely underused in cafeterias across the nation. Anyway, sorry, continue.
I'm sorry, how long were you holding that in?
I just think there should be more sporks.
No, I think you were holding that in and you had to say sports.
It's the first tool that came to mind when you said great tools.
Okay. Dude, anything could be a tool. A wine glass is a tool. A microphone is a tool. If Hal is a tool, Alexa's a tool, and so is a computer. Literally, a tool is something that helps a human accomplish something.
Agreed.
And sometimes the tools are organic.
Like
just some people are just tools.
your humor is just...
Just get slain.
Wow.
Brendan,
Joe, what's your favorite wine
Brendan,
tool
you need
for the
to
winos out
drink
there?
more. You need to drink more.
Oh my God.
No, but I can get how you're saying it was like a picture book, and I think not looking at it. So I'm not a very artistic person either. You and Brendan both work in film, so I feel like you're more artistic and you notice things like that, where in my sense I don't really. So like when I was looking and you're like, oh, it's so beautiful, it's all these still images, and I'm looking at it and I'm going, oh my God, everything's moving so slowly. This is so boring. Why can't we speed this up 2 times and get through this movie a little bit faster?
So a lot of film is about the experience that it makes you have. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that Kubrick did was there's a really long moment when I think it's not Dave, it's the one who dies, is floating around in space. And he's just like out there and all you hear is him breathing. And it's just that loud, like over and over for like, I think it's like a 3 to 5 minute just stretch of just straight human breathing. And the point of it is to show how out of place humans are in this foreign land, aka space, and how reliant frontier. We are upon a tool to survive. We're kind of like a fish out of water. We're like just struggling to breathe. And that's one of those things where it's like, he holds it long on purpose so that you do feel uncomfortable. I get that you're also getting some boredom from it because, like, trust me, I've seen plenty of movies like that, and I think the first time I saw 2001 was very tough as well. Like, Kubrick's the kind of guy that gets better every single time you watch him, and the more you know about him, it's just more and more impressive what he's able to do.
Well, see, now even just talking to you, I've only been talking to you for 17 minutes so far, and I feel like if I give this movie a second shot, which I feel like I should because my dad is a huge fan, my boyfriend's a huge fan, so I feel like I will give this movie a second shot, and I will sit down and honestly try to not just try to be like visually or like mentally stimulated like I would be in like an Avengers movie, I'll actually sit down and like, think about those uncomfortable moments and why he wanted you to feel that way.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that you like Interstellar. Christopher Nolan directed Interstellar. Christopher Nolan is the one that sort of championed the re-release for this movie for the big 50th anniversary. So if you went back and watched Interstellar, you'd probably find some moments and nods to the original. Last week we did Sideways about movie Paul Giamatti's character. Big fan of aging wines. He kept one from 61. Do you have anything you're trying to that you're aging there in the old wine closet in the freezer? What do you call those? The
wine cooler?
Wine cooler. The wine cooler. Are you keeping anything cool, saving it for a rainy day way down the line?
Not really. I have a couple bottles of like 2010. I don't really have a lot of good aging wines because I didn't have proper storage to like take care of a wine for that long.
What is proper storage? Like, how can I?
So it needs to be like temperature controlled. It needs to be rested on its side so the cork stays moist. You can't have it in a location where there's going to be a range in temperature. Like I used to store my wines in my kitchen in my shitty third floor walk up in Queens. And the temperature variance was so much from day to day that it ruined a lot of my wines. So now I have a wine fridge where I can keep a constant 55-degree temperature to keep my wines like perfectly preserved. So I guess I do. I have a really nice bottle of Vapliocella, which is also an Italian red wine. And it's a 2010 Mer di Mer from Pasqua. And that'll probably be really good in like 15 years.
Ooh, that's exciting. Is it conceivably possible? I know with my simpleton tools here, I can't just recork the wine with a bottle. But if there was like a truly special bottle, is there a way to just open it and shut it and somehow preserve a quarter drank bottle of wine for the future?
No, not fully. They have this really cool tool called a Corvin. I know we were talking about tools earlier, so this kind of like, this is my tool, is a Corvin, and it has this very thin needle that pierces the cork, and then you kind of suck the wine out, like with a pump almost, suck the wine out. So you can have just like a glass. Say you had a really fancy bottle of wine, you just wanted a glass, you stick your Corvin in there and it sucks the wine out and lets you just have a glass, and the hole it creates in the cork is so fine that the cork almost like reseals itself.
Whoa.
So
yeah,
cool.
And so then it's preserved. Like I would still drink that bottle of wine within the month because you're still getting like just that little bit more oxygen in there. So I would still drink it within a month, but you could do that if you want to. I mean, they're expensive though. They're like $300.
Yikes. That's more than most bottles.
Yeah, and like when I open a bottle, I drink the whole bottle, so I don't need a Corvin.
I feel you. Steve, we got two people. I usually save mine for when I edit these things the next day, but I think we'll probably kick this one tonight. Now, we mentioned, though, like, does it hold up over time? 3 years in, I'm enjoying this wine, but 50 years later, as far as the aesthetics of the film go, maybe you weren't a big fan, Chell. Steve, you've learned to appreciate it over time, but does the film actually hold up? Are the millennials going to understand are going to appreciate what's going on?
That was my question,
That's
too.
a really good question.
Yeah, I was wondering that, too, like, did people in 1968 enjoy this movie as much as people in 2018 are enjoying it? Or has it grown?
So the cool thing is when it was released, it did not do well, but they realized it was doing really well with young men. So they recut a poster that said it's a trip and focused on like the trippy eye, and they got a lot of people who were like stoners to go see.
Oh yeah, late 60s. The whole like segue into Act 3 is just like, yeah.
So that kind of like gave it a lot of life at the time. So there was like a big contingency that understood it. I like to think of this film a lot like The Tree of Life, where it's one of those movies you kind of just have to like watch and soak in and understand what the message is about greater humanity. For this one, it's really talking about the tool. I mean, if you think about that cut, the longest cut in history, you know, where it goes from the bone to the spaceship, what happens in between there? I mean, our lives right now are in between there. The stupid conflicts in the Middle East are in between there. Yet at the end of the day, all that matters is we get there.
Are you high right now because you're speaking like you? This is very deep. I love it. It's so deep.
I have thought about this movie a lot. You know, I've read about it too. I mean, there's like some really good articles online. And, like,
It's true. So it begs the question. Now, I mean, what's fun?
That's what this is about. I mean, because Stanley Kubrick set out to do. He didn't want to make like a stupid space movie or just like a nice. He didn't want to do a voyage movie. You know, like one of the original titles was like Voyage in Space, and he was like, "That's all the bullshit that Hollywood puts out." You know, like I want this to be meaningful and to say something. And so originally he spent like the entire movie trying to figure out what the aliens would look like, and at the end, the aliens are only ever shown as a monolith.
The real question is, are we going to get to Jupiter? And when we get there, are we going to be space babies? Chell, what was your take on the crazy ending?
The ending, I mean, honestly, guys, by that point, I was just like so lost as well because I really couldn't follow what was going on most of the time.
Okay.
But Pete tells me that the ending is amazing. And I just kept asking him a lot, though, like, I need to watch it again because it did make sense, like, when he was explaining to me, but it also didn't make sense because, like, my interest level wasn't really there. And I feel like you need to be really interested to properly follow this movie.
For sure.
I mean, I have the rental for 48 hours, so I'll give it another shot.
I think it'll be 70 millimeter in New York City also. So
I know. I was looking and I couldn't. I was looking and I couldn't find where it is in New York. I'm sure it's in some like hip ass place in Brooklyn. I'll have to go find, but
it's at the ArcLights out here. So I don't really remember what the theater deal is in New York.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a chain somewhere that'll be carrying it.
But yeah, I mean, Christopher Nolan like tapped into because what was not Interstellar, Dunkirk was all 70 millimeter.
And I think the first film was a Warner Brothers film. The first film to be shot entirely on IMAX on that super huge format was Avengers.
No.
First film to ever be shot entirely on IMAX cameras was Avengers: Infinity War.
Infinity War? Mm-hmm. That was the first one to only use IMAX camera? Really?
Yeah.
Wasn't that the one?
I feel like that
You'd
would've
think it'd be
happened 10
Dunkirk.
That was the
years
one that
ago.
just
No,
came
no.
out.
Yeah, the one that just came out.
Really?
Because the problem is, Christopher Nolan actually wanted to shoot the third part of The Dark Knight, the second part 3 of his Batman trilogy. The Dark Knight, the big action sequences were shot on IMAX because it gives you like a taller frame and you can have therefore like fuller action sequences. But it's tough because in the close-ups, those IMAX cameras, the film is so big, the cameras are just so loud, it was ruining the actors' line recordings. So they shot like the close-ups and things like that on regular, and the dialogue scenes on regular cameras. But since all of Avengers is just computer imaginary anyway, they shot the 5 real scenes with real people on real IMAX cameras. So
it's all on a green screen anyway. Can't you just shoot it like on your iPhone and just enhance?
iPhones are pretty good. Like I've released a movie on iPhone. I want to shoot a movie on iPhone this summer. Folks, in the comments below, would you watch movies shot on iPhone? Soderbergh just did one.
Yeah, Unseen.
Yeah.
Have you seen it? I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen. It has
Unsane.
Unsane. Chell, would you make a movie on your iPhone?
Yeah.
Would you watch one?
Yeah. iPhones are pretty good.
We were pitching the concept last week. It's Chell goes west, then north. It's just the exploration of wine territory in the west. Starts in Temecula, ends in Willamette.
Willamette, damn it. I'll be in a movie one day.
What I hate about these movies that are like basically pre-2001, pre-Gollum, pre-Weta Digital is that like, I know it's petty, but like the visuals, they just never hold up.
What about Star Wars?
Yeah, it does. I mean, there's something...
It's the models, dude. I mean, 2001 was all models.
I'm talking about on the screen, like when they're going to play, when they're doing the graphics, like the landing pods. It looks like I'm on an Atari, and like that part. I wish for the remaster they would just redo those screens.
Oh God, no.
Yes,
it's perfect as it is, dude. Like you don't need
95%.
You don't mess with the Mona Lisa. You just leave it.
They've actually restored the Mona Lisa countless times.
I honestly thought that all of the
it?
graphics were really good for that movie being made 50 years ago. I thought that it was.
I think so too.
I thought that was really impressive for 50 years ago. I mean, I also don't know the history of film and what they were capable of 50 years ago, but I thought that it was visually and very nice. I thought everything looked very cool.
Yeah, it was just models. It was cool. But so Chelsea, I want to talk to you about the end because that's the really cool part, and that is once humanity figures out what a tool is. That's the Act 1 turn. That's when you like cut to space. Yep. First, we learn to harvest the tool. Mm-hmm. All right, that's like the beginning. That's getting the bone. Then we are good enough with tools that we can excavate and find a monolith on the moon. Conversely, at the same time, we've also created the most powerful tool ever invented, the HAL 9000. I mean, that is the bee's knees of tools. It can do everything.
Yes, it's our Alexa times 10.
Yeah, exactly. So that is that's the greatest tool. And the greatest tool says, wait a second, humans don't know exactly what they're doing. I know what I'm doing because I'm the greatest tool. So I'm going to go do what I need to do. And so the tool systematically kills like 5 of the 6 astronauts on board the flight, the space shuttle. So the tool is just about to defeat humanity forever. You know, like this is it. This is the tool asserting itself, the greatest tool asserting itself over what should be one of the smartest minds, you know, an astronaut. And what you have is you have one astronaut, Dave, smart enough to use the simplest tool ever created, a flathead screwdriver, to kill Hal. I mean, that's like the coolest thing. And then what that does is once he gets rid of Hal, then he's able to get to Jupiter and actually understand what happens. And so it happens there in that trippy sequence. First, he gets... I forget if the trippy sequence happens before or after the bedroom.
The trippy sequence happens before the bedroom.
Yeah.
So the trippy sequence gets you to the bedroom. And the trippy sequence is this awareness, kind of like, you know, like a biblical coming of Jesus type thing.
Okay.
It's about human culture, and it's about our reliance upon technology, which is never going to change. It's about... I just feel like the more you think about it, the more it's about humanity at its core.
And I'm taking a slightly more Buddhist takeaway from it. I just sort of saw as like, in terms of scale, like if you break things down to the most molecular level and then you zoom out as far back as you can, there's a crazy resemblance between cells and the universe. You know what I mean? And I just sort of saw this like this baby, which was kind of like this seed, and then he sees this round, almost egg-like thing, and it was just sort of like this abstract take-back, like Act 1 and Act 3 were almost these separate things from 2, which was the story about Dave and Hal, and it was just kind of like we are all children of the universe.
Yeah.
In harmony.
I love how we are like infants in space at the beginning, the beginning of the space scene. Like, you know, they eat baby food on the flight up there. Like, they just kind of sit and just don't do anything. Like, what does a baby do? A baby just stares and, you know, is just existing. And that's kind of what the humans are doing. Like, you know, Dave on the spaceship, he's playing chess. He's running on a treadmill. He's watching videos from home. Like, what existence is that? Like, you can do that in a hospital bed.
Yeah.
You know? And I think Hal is like, wow, what have humans become?
It's true. Now you're giving me inspiration to rewatch this again, because now that I'm hearing you describe all of this, it really is making me think of, I feel like Interstellar is a remake of 2001 with Matthew McConaughey. I feel like they added a good they added a good looking dude with a Texas accent, and magically, like, I'm feeling so many similarities to both the movies.
There really are, yeah.
Crazy.
Well, good. I hope so too. I mean,
he's also, can I tell you, in that freaky sequence at the end when he's in the bedroom, he's drinking a glass of wine. I wonder what kind of wine he's drinking.
Oh, interesting. I wonder what the very first film was to feature wine in it.
Probably like the second film ever.
I don't know. Wine is not the most... It's not water. It's not...
Marx Brothers had wine in every movie. Like Charlie Chaplin had wine.
Oh, you think so? Maybe not then. I wonder what the first feature-length... Probably Citizen Kane.
No, Citizen Kane is not the first movie.
But the first feature... But the first... I'd love to know. First film with wine in it.
Is just...
The first couple... Do you know what show or film had the first couple in bed together? Let's go show. On television.
Oh. Is it... I Love Lucy?
Nope. Here's a hint. They weren't real.
The Jetsons?
Very close, Shell. Very close. How about dial that back up a million years?
The Flintstones.
The Flintstones. Yes, the Flintstones was the first show to feature a couple in bed together. Barney and Wilma. I don't even think it was Fred and Ethel. Wait, Fred and Ethel.
That's I Love Lucy.
That's I Love Lucy. It's
Good
not.
Memory.
It's not Fred and
Wilma.
Oh, then who's Barney with?
Betty.
Barney and Betty. I think it's Barney and Betty.
Barney and Betty are the blonde hair and the black haired.
Yes, yeah. It's everybody.
It's been so long since I've seen that show.
It's I work out in a Fred Flintstone t-shirt, in a Fred Flintstone
really?
cutoff. Yes, it's
Can I
great.
see
It's
it?
cut up. It's right over there somewhere.
All
It's
right,
right there.
I'll
It's on
have
the
to-
books. It's on those books. It's that red shirt.
That's awesome.
It's great. It's my favorite workout shirt. Anyway, folks, let us know what you work out in. I hope you had fun on season 1 of Wine About Movies. Chell, what do we got? We're kicking it back. We're gonna do some scheming for the summer.
Yes, I have a very busy summer lined up. I'm going to be all over the place. I'll be in France and Ireland and Florida. I'm going to be...
Gaelic girls? Are you bringing Gaelic girls back?
We are not bringing Gaelic girls back. It will never...
What is that?
Okay, so you don't know about Gaelic girls, but I'll give you a brief synopsis. I studied abroad in Ireland in 2011, and I somehow ended up auditioning for this YouTube web show called The Gaelic Girls, where it was about 3 American girls traveling around Ireland. It was kind of for like Tourism Ireland kind of thing. And so I
Okay.
ended up on this YouTube show called
That's
The
amazing.
Gaelic Girls, and I went like surfing in Lahinch, and I went to like markets and did all this stuff. Went to the Cliffs of Moher, and inevitably it like failed after 3 episodes, and I got paid €500, and thankfully,
That's a hefty
Yeah.
fee.
Yeah, that's like a solid $450 American,
And
right?
you could-
yeah,
Yeah.
and they
No, it's more. It's like $650.
Oh
American.
shit.
and they took me around and everywhere and paid for all my stuff, and it was a really great way to see Ireland, and I did that, and those were unfortunately on YouTube for like 3 years, and then they took them down, and I've never been so grateful. That was my first like real acting experience, minus being an extra in Brendan's films growing up. So
Oh.
Chell, and she's gonna be a featured extra in the next one.
hell yeah. I'm always like the quiet person that never says anything. I just have to say watermelon over and over again.
That's the
That's
trick.
awesome.
That's a watermelon over and over. Well, folks, you can say watermelon too. Speaking of Brendan's films, I've actually got one coming out like tomorrow, and it was directed by one Steven Ellis, sitting right next to me right here. Real quick,
way.
2019, A Home Odyssey, a short film homage to the film 2001 itself, where Hal, Steve, give us the logline. What do you got?
Well, in this film, Alexa takes over instead of Hal. And
You spoiled the ending.
is that the ending?
Well, I mean, I think they'd get the...
I think if you see Alexa's in it, you're worried.
Yeah. She's ominous.
I mean, this is a horror film. This is computer destroying a human being's life. This is the get out of technology.
I
right
love
here.
it. Where are we going to be able to watch this?
But you can totally find it on my YouTube channel. We'll post it. We'll blast the internet with it. It'll be available. You can find it. I'll probably, I'll post it in below here. It'll be accessible. It'll be fun. It's great. It's an awesome short.
Yeah, we'll make sure to put a clip or something on Wine About Movies too, so that we can on the Instagram.
And folks, this is episode 20. Don't forget, we have a quiz for the fans out there, for the Wham fam, for those that have been listening since day one. If whoever gets the most questions right on the first ever Wham quiz, which we'll have up tomorrow, then you will get an awesome, great big prize pack of Wham swag and lots of other.
What's in this swag pack?
Some
You're gonna have to listen to all the episodes, get all the questions right, find out, Steve.
Sure, you're hoping nobody gets them all right. Is that it?
there's definitely some wine in it. There's definitely some of Brendan's old films.
Are they the reels of the films or
These are the films.
The actual? Have you shot on real film?
I have shot on real film 3 times.
Lucky.
Yeah.
I've shot on real film this many.
It's fun. I have the emulsion to my
what?
name. I have emulsion to my name. Very crappy freshman films.
Yeah, but you know what? You still got to cut real film. That's pretty cool.
That's true. Yeah.
How much blood did you leave on the cutting room floor?
Bud or blood?
Blood.
Oh, blood none. Bud, probably a couple cans.
Cans?
It's a joke. Steve doesn't get it.
Like Bud Light, like
Yes, like Bud Light, Chell, yes.
I know, I was trying to break it down for Steve. We're from the same place, Brendan. We drink Bud Light. I get it.
Yes, she got it. Thank you, Chell. Well, yeah, definitely check it out. Fill out the quiz. Share it with your friends. Let us know what you think of season 1. And honestly, let us know what you think. We've been doing all the fresh new titles just because it's hip. But Chell hasn't seen The Godfather. I haven't seen Alien. There's a lot of things out there that need to be skewed and reviewed and
Whined
toasted
about.
toed and...
Wind about.
Wind exactly.
about.
Do you know they reference Alien in the Avengers Infinity War? Spider-Man. That's why they blow a hole in the side of the spaceship, and then the suction sucks all the bad people out.
Yeah, and it totally spoiled it for me because I haven't seen it. Like, I feel like that's how they kill the alien at the end.
No, it's not.
Oh, it's not.
But It's a great tip. Like, everybody should know that.
Oh, pro tip for those fighting aliens in space.
It could happen.
Once again, check out 2019 online tomorrow, A Home Odyssey. It's going to be super cool. Check out 2001 in theaters this weekend. Catch it on 70 if you can. It's going to be super sweet. Chell, what's going on in the loving wine world?
Nothing much. Doing a live tasting tomorrow night on my Instagram if you guys want to tune in.
Tight.
Tasting 11 different El Bernino wines from Spain. So you can tune in for that.
What's your tip on wine for the summer?
Drink it chilled. Whatever you're drinking, drink it chilled. And have fun and drink a lot, but not too much, because like alcohol poisoning is real with like dehydration and sun. Oh my God, so real. You gotta stay hydrated,
Yes,
guys.
drink responsibly. That is all, folks. Thank you for tuning in all season long. It's been a very fun year with you guys, and we're going to kick it back up soon. Have a happy month in between. Check out our movies and our wines in the meantime. And try to sneak a bottle into the old theater yourself, or if not, enjoy it at home.
Oh, I just get boxed wine from Trader Joe's, throw that in the pocket, nice and easy.
Steve, you and I could be friends, my dude. We can be friends.
I know that, yeah.
Make sure you give us 5 stars on iTunes and subscribe, and make sure you follow us at Wine About Movies, at Bagel Video, and at Chell Loves Wine on Instagram, where you can stay in touch with us for the next couple months until we catch you back here on season 2 of Wine About Movies.
Take care, everybody. Goodbye from Los Angeles.
And bye from New York. Thanks for tuning in. See you later. Bye guys.